This is the Akko POM Pink switches. Akko's first take on a POM switch. So how do they sound and feel? Let's find out. What is going on, guys? Ox here and welcome back to my channel. We are finally back with another Akko switches, and today let's take a look and listen at Akko's new switches, the POM Pinks. This is a linear switch with a full POM material, and I'm very excited to try them out as I'm really keen to see what Akko's full POM switch may feel and sound like. And it's been a while since we last reviewed an Akko switch. I think if you can remember, the last one that we have tried was about 6 months ago. And man, can you believe that time flies really fast? So in today's video, it's going to be the usual, a stock versus lube comparison and a Soundtest comparison versus other Akko switches, and of course a material breakdown. If you all want to hear my thoughts and opinion about the POM Pinks, please do stick around at the end of the Soundtest. And speaking of Soundtest, let me give you guys a quick disclaimer before we start. That the sound and experience will vary depending on your keyboard build, meaning to say that it might feel and sound different on your board. We will of course be using the Vega 65 with a polycarbonate plate, a PCB to plate foam, and one case foam. The switches was lubed with a Krydox 205 grade 0 and 105 grade 0 on the springs. The keycaps that was used on the Soundtest was a Geek Arc PBT set, so with all of that out of the way, please do enjoy the Soundtest on the Akko POM Pink. And that was the sound test on the POM Pink switches by Akko. Please do let me know on what you think about them on my comment section down below, and let's have some quick discussion. As you know, I always try to answer your questions as much as I can. Before we talk about my own thoughts and opinion, you already know what's next. Let's break down the materials that was used on the switch. As you can see, these are a 3-pin switch. And is using an MX style housing. So of course we have POM for the tap housing. POM on the bottom housing. And our favorite POM for the stem. And lastly, the springs with a 45-gram actuation force. So that was a material breakdown on the Akko POM Pink switches, and if you made it up to this point of the video, I would like to say thank you for staying, and again reminding you that the sound and experience will vary depending on your keyboard build, so it will feel and sound different on your build. Finally, let's all talk about my thoughts on the feel. On stock, as expected, it feels really plasticky, but that's a given with Akko switches. I wouldn't really recommend using full POM on stock since you can really feel that scratchy feeling when typing. Once lubed, it felt way better, like really better. It felt really smoother, and I can say that there was a night and day difference with lubed and non-lubed on the switches. You can still feel a little bit of scratchiness, but it felt so much better. Again, it's lube, and I also recommend to break them in if like using them on a daily if you have time, if you really want the scratchiness to go away. One thing that I don't like about the switches is that I always point it out on every Akko switch that I review is the actuation force or the springs. I find it light for my liking, and I just wish it was heavier, like somewhere around 50 to 55 gram bottom out. It will be nicer for this, but the full travel on these are pretty nice, and yeah, this is a decent POM switch by Akko. It was really smooth once lube, and I can see myself using them on a daily only if I swap up the springs. Moving on to my thoughts on the sound. On stock, it sounded all over the place. It has that clack to it, but it sounds really thin on stock. Of course, same as the feel, I really don't recommend using them on stock as you can really bring out the sound of the switches once lubed. Once lubed, it sounded more subtle, and I really like the sound profile that it brings out on our Vega. So it has a deep clack and has that snappy return as it's using the same long springs. I barely hear some scratches, but it's still there, as well as I didn't hear any spring pings. Overall, I can say that I'm quite impressed on the switches, and to be fair, they do feel and sound decent once lubed. But I do suggest or recommend to only pick this up if 1. You are okay with the scratches, and 2. If you haven't really tried a full POM switch. It is indeed cheaper than the creams, and remember, it is lighter than the creams, so you wouldn't really get that full cream experience, but it can still be a good alternative. But if you are a beginner, I do suggest to get a pack of 10 first if you have a vendor that has this option, as scratchy switches, it's like an acquired taste in this hobby, and would suggest to just get their normal CS switches for beginners out there. I can't really straight up say that these are better than their CS switches, but I can say that they do nailed it in terms of making a decent full POM switch. And that is it for the video, guys. I hope you find this review helpful, and if you do, please don't forget to hit the like button, and let's aim for the usual, the 50 likes. I know we can do it. And again, please do comment down below on what you think about the switches. What's next? Well, we have one more POM switch from Akko, and that will be a tactile switch, so please stay tuned for that. Again, don't forget to hit the like button, share if you want, and of course subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys on the next sound test. Peace.